Okay, so welcome to the live debates. If you guys haven't attended one already, it's an open debate for one of you guys in the crowd to take that middle seat and join the conversation. Please connect to the Discord server now. Make sure that you guys can add your questions as we go. We have 5 questionals today about Blur. Blur.io, one of the new marketplaces for NFTs. And what we want to do is open up straight away. To explain where I'm wearing a terrible white jacket, every person who comes on stage will be signing the jacket, and at the end of the day, we'll be auctioning it off for someone to have at the end of the event as well. How's everyone's event going today? Very good? Perfect, perfect. Right, let's get straight into it, guys. Oh, before I go any further, we're gonna have a short bio from everybody. My name's Jay, I'm a community manager with BEINCrypto, and so all things crypto, all things NFTs. Looking forward to connect with you guys after the show as well. So first of all, can we go around? Bubits, do you want to start? Just give yourself introduce your name, short bio.
Yeah, for sure. Hey guys, don't know why I'm here, but I'm Bubits. I do content on Twitter, 22 and trying to grow my brand, and I love NFTs, and we're gonna see what's my take on Blur. But yeah.
Great intro, Bubits. My name is Carlitos, Carlitosway. I'm German-Spanish, 32. I'm also a content creator, and I host spaces with Bubits, and I'm very much looking forward to be here.
Hi, I'm BBA, so I'm an NFT collector, mostly gifts, and also a builder. I build things, and a dad.
I'm Henry the Grape. I'm with Kongz. I'm on the Council of Kongz, and I'm having a hard time hearing, but happy to be here.
Could we close the doors there and get everyone in, please? Yep.
So hey guys, I'm barthazian. I always have a problem with introductions because my identification changes every 6 months. I went from collector, trader, degen. Now I think I'm more of a professional gambler, I guess. A bad one at that, but yeah, pretty much so.
We all gotta take risks in this space, man. You know what it's like. So we're gonna jump straight into this, guys. And like I said, I want everyone getting involved. Like, don't be shy. This is the last day of the event. Let's get involved. So first of all, let's open up. These are very kind of yes or no questions, because what we want to do is you guys see the plaques on your seats. We want you guys to also join in. And the first question, I'm going to go ahead. So, will Blur save or kill the space, the NFT space? Whoever wants to jump in there first.
Should I go? I'm the youngest one. Should I go?
Yeah.
All right. So, the thing with that question is kind of hard, you know, because what do we know about the future? But if you ask me how it changed the space, I would say it was a positive note. It had the bad features, like many people got angry, exploited many stuff, but to me it's a positive sign for the space. I can elaborate more, but I want to hear from you as well.
Yeah, for me, I don't think a single actor can kill or save the space. It just moves the space forward. It's additional tool services that people can decide to use or not. And yeah, Blur is quite popular. In a few months, they managed to get a big market share, like the dominant place in the space. So I think people were wanting such a product.
Thank you. And before we go any further, who would like to join this conversation on Blur, Save or Killing Spaces? I'm looking at you, bro. You're coming up. Sign my jacket first. Also, please, no one fall on the stage. There's no health and safety payouts, so just make sure you don't fall, all right?
Okay, so I have a completely opposing view. I certainly don't think Blur will save the space, nor do I think BEINCrypto will save the space. So I kind of look at them as like sort of the same thing. If you're a degen and you like contracting liquidity, I guess Blur is great. The reason why I'm not a big fan of Blur is because I look at the space as something it's evolving. And as it evolves, we have lots of people that are on the outside looking in, like, what's crypto all about? Most of them aren't really interested in degenning, but they get their information on crypto from the news. And then they jump in, and then all of a sudden they see something like Blur, and they just can't comprehend, why the hell does this exist? Like, why is this asset being traded this many times? In 2023, and you can check on CryptoSlam as a source, $3.4 billion in wash trades on Ethereum mainnet, predominantly coming from Blur. So somebody on the outside, I think, is looking at it going what is this? Why does this even exist? Because, I mean, you can look on chain and see the same asset being traded over and over and over and over again. And farmers like the idea because the initial Blur drop was good to them. But what's the next drop going to look like? That's why, like, I understand why people do it. I don't look at it as a net positive for the space.
Thanks for sharing. And there's a question later on that will also cover some of those topics. And Chris, how do you feel about that as well? Like, what are your views on?
Well, I think I'm mainly in line what has been said. It's not that Blur kills NFTs or anything else. If there is value, it will be kept. And I think there will be more financialization with like derivatives and stuff like that, where you can also trade shares and go long and do leverage trading, and all that kind of stuff will just contribute to acceleration of a process and lead to more swings. So I think if it wouldn't have been Blur, it would have been some other company that it would have grabbed the market share because the spot was open. So I think overall it's good. It moves the space forward.
Okay, so some conflicting views there. And what about the audience, guys? Please put up the green front of the banners in front of you if you think that it will save the space, and put up the other side if you think it's going to be detrimental to the space. Okay, so there's some mixed views here. Thank you for getting involved, guys. And Carlito, Barthazian, do you have any other views on that?
I guess my opinion is like almost said throughout. I think you could say long term it's net neutral, but I would lean towards being more positive because they broke down a lot of things that we had on the social consensus model, and they broke it down and showed that can't really hold up, and you've got to iterate on it and improve. So they came in like a brick, they broke the whole stuff down, and now they're building it back up, and people can rebuild the ideation on it. So I think it's net positive.
Thank you for sharing. Right, thank you again. And Chris, thanks for joining us. Everyone give Chris a round of a hand there, come on.
But can I, there's a debate, right? Yeah, so like, oh, by the way, nice job, bro. You did awesome. The reality is when I hear people say like, oh, it's moving the space forward, I say like, in what tangible way is it moving the space forward? Because liquidity existed before Blur. It's not like we were incapable of placing bids on, let's say, OpenSea. So I'd like to hear how you quantify the innovation of Blur and how it moves us forward.
It's not about liquidity though. The thing is that this is natural. Like the progression of finance, like where we're heading at, like what we do as degens is exactly trading. So at the end of the day, like I don't know who he was, I can't recall the name, but NFTs turn to be alts with images, and that's what we use them for. So Blur helped us see this thing and say like it's a good notice to make and understand, like if we use it that way, do we really need NFTs? Because if it's about like having altcoins with images, you can do that on DeFi. Go back to that, 2020, right? So that's it. It's a good concern to raise, and this way we can start using NFTs for IPs. You can start using it. We couldn't figure it out before. Like we're into that rat race about flipping, and now it's easy to see.
I'm not tracking that. So I'm trying to understand, is it because it's now allowed us to recognize NFTs as shitcoins, and Blur allows that to be easily like exposed, versus there's a lot of people that are in NFTs for the potential, when I say utility, I know that's a memeable word now, but there's a lot of people that don't view it as nothing more than shitcoins.
But that, oh sorry, you gonna go?
Yeah,
I'm being very opposing, by the way. I realize
I like
that,
this.
but
Yeah, the way it's supposed to be, guys. Come on.
Seeing if we are realistic, most of people see NFTs as financial assets, and OpenSea was not designed for this crowd of people that were mostly here for the money. You know, if we are, maybe 90 or 95% are into NFTs for money, for flipping, for the financial side of it. And Blur just identified this the market, which OpenSea failed at doing so for 2 years. They had a very dominant position with pretty much a product that was quite bad, honestly, and with quite huge fees, and they didn't do anything about it, and Blur just saw the opportunity. And it's like every market needs competitors to mature, needs financial products like leverage. Crypto is there is where it's at today because of all the derivatives, of all the liquidity and everything. And Blur is just one step at bringing those products to this market that's still quite immature. The thing is that they are very aggressive. At the time, so they came in with zero fees, zero platform fees. They removed creator royalties, which I think, yeah, this is another debate. And this I don't think it's positive for the space. But they came in with a very good product, very aggressively, with incentive for traders. And I just think it brought the market where it should be faster, basically.
And I love the energy, guys, but you know, this is the first question. We've got like a whole load of questions to go. So
I haven't even said anything
like,
yet.
It gets saucy, bro. Blur brings up some feels with people, you know?
Exactly, this is the thing. And I knew this was going to be one of the most opposing, debates of this whole day. So let's push on further with the next question, guys. So this is something I know we're all going to have views on, but is farming Blur taking floors to zero? Anyone got views on that?
Farming Blur taking floors to zero. I mean, just look at the data. I mean, it's hard right now, right? We're in a bit of a bear market, and so floors are dropping a bit anyway. I don't think it's great. I think people are farming. They're farming for Blur points, and at the end of the day, they then take that and they dump the floor, and this is this ongoing cycle. And will it go to zero? I guess that's hard to say. Yeah. Blur lending may help out a little bit with that, but yeah, that's my take. I don't see it going to zero just because of Blur, but maybe it helps it along the way.
Yeah. I see. Just quickly before we I see Chewy making some comments on the server there. So does Chewy want to join us on stage and get involved in this question, or would you want to come on, brother? Yeah, yeah, that's fine. I know you're not Chewy. Give us a sign. So carry on, please, Carlos.
Yeah, so no, I kind of agree with what you said. I think it's not black and white like many things in life. So I think the general perception is it's not good for the space itself, but let's see where it goes. And a bit like Bubits said before as well, right? Farming itself is a bit like left pocket, right pocket. That liquidity is there, but in a way is being pushed around from left and right. So I don't know where this will go.
I'd say that it doesn't drive it to zero, but it accelerates a price action. So if a thing was meant to go to zero, it'll do it really fast, which is great, so they can move on to the next thing. So in terms of the way it's designed, it just accelerates that entire price action that we had to do for months. It happens in a week, probably. So that's great, in my opinion, because we can move on to the next big thing for now.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with this guy. I don't think that better tools for traders, if you choose to be a trader in this market, and increased frequency of executed trades means prices go down. I think it's an important part of the market, and I think that they brought important tools to those who want to trade. I think it's good. Blur is good. I don't use it, and I wish it never came, but it was coming anyways. Yeah. If it wasn't them, it was someone else.
Someone has to do it, right? It's natural. It's gonna happen. The thing, like, what about OpenSea? Like, they did nothing, and they just created competition, and now OpenSea does the OpenSea Pro. They added all this cool features, buckling up.
They helped at the expense of creators, by the way. I mean, let's be real. You said that point, but it's like a point that was glazed over, not purposely, but at the expense of creators. That was part of what people really loved about Web3 was that creators were going to continue to be rewarded, through the sale of their creations. Blur all but got rid of that. Obviously, it started a fight between them and OpenSea. But again, I think part of it is the optics of what it looks like to the outside. I think anybody who looks at it is like, this is worse than the Wild West. It doesn't make any sense. And then you have to have a debate to even try to make sense of it. And so anybody on the outside is like, what the fuck is going on here? Like, what? How many times does this thing get traded? 15 times in a day? Why? Well, because he's going to get points out of it. What do those points do? Well, on the next airdrop, the magic internet money is going to come into his account, and then he's going to sweep a floor. And I just don't think that to the outside looks awesome. By the way, I realize there's a lot of people who did really well on Blur airdrops, and kudos to them. But I think we just have a little bit of responsibility to a certain degree to make this space something that's useful beyond degen trading.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, yeah.
Is Blur at fault for royalties?
Well, that's actually our next question. So I'm gonna, you know what? I'm gonna keep
The
you on
answer
stage,
is
brother.
no, but
I
we'll
really
get
love
into
it
it.
because it segues perfectly. So what we want to know, does Blur handle royalty fees well? Obviously, compared to OpenSea as an example, there was actually someone on the Discord server who said that obviously OpenSea at the behest of the creator. So what I would like to say is, does Blur handle the royalty fees well?
Can I start?
Of course, you start. We'd love you to start.
I would prefer that royalties are enforced at like a chain or smart contract level, and they were not able to be circumvented because they're healthy for the industry and they're good for creators. That said, if you're a marketplace and your goal is to like take all marketplace trading volume, you're Blur, and you can circumvent royalties, and that's going to get you all the marketplace volume. Like, you're going to do it. They're geniuses. I would have done it. Like, it's not their fault. They run a good business.
I agree. I mean, if it wouldn't have been Blur, somebody else would have stepped in. For the way I see it, to OpenSea, this was a wake-up call. So in a way, it pushed the space forward. But regarding Blur itself and the rates, I think it's quite intransparent, or at least I, as a user, don't understand how the daily rates are set. Maybe you guys know.
Yeah, the thing also is, since the beginning, people have found way to avoid paying royalties. So like doing OTC deals, and which led up to many hacks of an asset being lost. So if there's a way, since it's not enforced in the blockchain, people will find a way. And Blur, they just allow it to do it easily. And but that's just part of the way things works. And also, I believe in terms of royalties, when everything was going well, when it was a bull market, people didn't think about royalties. They say, oh yeah, maybe it's going to be there forever. It's a lot of money. And I think the real debate about royalties hasn't happened yet. It's not do we pay zero or do we pay royalties. I think there are many other options. And yeah, no one. And right now, it's maybe too late to discuss it. Because, yeah.
I'm just going to add on to that because I have a similar view. I'm not against royalties per se, but we had reached a state in the market where creators, both sides. So you've got to say that when you say creators, there's companies on one side doing projects, and then you have artists. So we always put royalties in one category, but I would see them both different patterns, So you had the situation where everyone became lethargic. They were happy just selling art, they'll get 10% base on it, and it's going on. And OpenSea is just taking 2.5 off, not doing much improvement and iterations after a while. And then Blur just came in and like, we could do this and you can't do anything against us, and basically broke that model up. So then now people started to think about, so like when the bull run happened, no one really cared about 10%. You're happy, you bought something for an ETH, you're selling for 10 ETH, I'm happy paying an ETH to the creator. Bull market happened and everyone is fine, then, the price action started to change. You're buying something for 10 ETH and you're selling it for an ETH. You're again giving 10% on that that's not a royalty anymore. That's a sale tax at that point, So nomenclature becomes a kind of very misconstrued thing. People see it in a different way. They use the same word, but it's actually more nuanced than that. So the fact that they came in and they showed that on a design side, you can completely break that down, and you've got to reiterate on that and make a better model. So it's not royalties are not supposed to be there, but we need better models, and Blur basically showed us that we do need it from a social consensus point also.
And I'm going to ask the crowd now, so show your green side if you think Blur is handling royalties well, and show your red side if you think they're not handling royalties well. Okay, so we got quite a lot of green, a bit of red there. Interesting. And thank you, brother, for joining us. Can I make one more comment? Of course you can. Share with us.
So I think we're focusing on Blur as a marketplace and like them designing a way for traders to circumvent royalties. But like the other important thing we're not talking about is most investors and traders will find a way to circumvent royalties. So on Sol, like for anyone that was there, DGods went to 0% right after Magic Eden went to 0%, and everyone was pissed at Frank. But like, it was pretty evident once DGods went over 100 Sol, and I forget what Sol was at, like they were 10 grand or something. Traders just OTC'd them, nothing traded, like, and the royalties were 7% or something at the contract level. They made them 0, and it didn't affect their business. Like, they kind of had to, and so Blur's giving traders what they want. Creators hate it, but I think that they have to go like fix it in an infrastructure way, because no one's going to just add royalties mess up their ability to pull market share. It doesn't make sense.
Thanks for sharing, brother. Honestly, big round of applause there, guys. Come on, thank you. Okay, any more comments there? We're good.
I mean, he's completely right. And the reality is, even though I shit talk Blur, because I don't personally think it's good, I understand why it exists. There's a market for it. It's just, what Web3 do you want 5 years from now? What Web3, that's what I just keep going back to, is we're looking for mass adoption. We're looking for people to understand what we're doing. We're looking for people to take us seriously. And I just think when you look at it from the outside, it looks weird. But I totally understand why people would want to circumvent 2.5, 5, 7.5, or 10% creator fees. I get it, because it's their margin. But to me, there's something bigger at stake, and that bigger thing is hopefully like in the near-term future.
Perfect. And let's jump into the next question, guys, because I know we could go all day on this. So the next question is actually about airdrops. You brought it up earlier, Carlito, but are Blur airdrops, are they pumping the market currently, do you guys think? Also, let's bring someone up on stage. Zach, I see you, brother. You're coming up. Are Blur airdrops pumping the market?
Pumping. Are they pumping?
You got to sign.
Should I go? Which way do you want to go?
The thing
I
is,
don't
no
think
one,
they do.
You got to go either.
I don't think they do.
no one knows what's the Blur airdrop actually, because you are farming for something and you get some boxes, but you still don't know what's inside, and that's probably the thing that's the most deceptive with Blur, is that people are currently farming, sometimes selling at a loss because I believe they are, at the end of the day, getting some gains. But yeah, if tomorrow the airdrop is not there, some people will have lost a lot of money. So I think they are pushing the date of the airdrop for a purpose, because during this time people are like speculating on the price on the quantity of the airdrop. And during these times, they gain market shares. They destroy their competitors every single day. People are like farming on Blur. OpenSea is not making volume, for example. So I guess, yeah, this strategy is quite deceptive. Yeah, deceptive, I would say. And yeah, no, I don't think it's pumping. It might pump the market when it drops, like it did in the past with Luxware drop or this kind of thing. But yeah. My answer would be no, I would say.
Yeah, and I mean, the airdrops, when you get them, most of the people just sell it. So they're going to just get the money out. It's just from one pocket to the other. This is not sustainable. And I think here's where I agree with Henry.
That sounds really good, by the way.
Yeah,
not sustainable.
It's artificial. It's not sustainable, the gamification of that shit. But they had to do it to be number one. That's it. So it's genius.
I mean, there is something coming next month, right? A new airdrop. Let's see how that goes, but I think it will be negative for the market. Allegedly, yeah, it's rumors. Sorry, it's not official yet.
No, by the way, like I'm not we're having a little bit of fun with it. We talked beforehand about like our views, so like there's no hate whether you love or hate Blur. I hope. You know what I've wondered, and I don't know if anybody actually knows the answer to this. Where did the liquidity from the Blur airdrop come from? Do we know that? Do you know?
Say that again.
The first Blur airdrop. Where did the liquidity for that come from?
No idea. I think it was you had to list the work, no, to get the airdrops.
The centralized exchanges?
Yeah, so Blur was one of the ones that actually had their token be listed on the centralized exchanges before the LP kind of came out, because of some claim issue and all that they had. But most of the liquidity actually came in from non-NFT based people that the NFT people dumped on and then started with trading their own stuff and lost their own money. So more or less, they take away from the people that buy altcoins and then give it to the NFT people, and they lose it between themselves. So it's a circle of life there. Yeah, pretty much.
And Zach, I feel sorry for putting you in the middle there, man. No. They're just like all angles at you, brother. But
you caught me off on prize. Yeah. Thanks, guys. And this is like quite personal as well to me, because I'm an artist. So I do understand both sides, especially with the royalty problem. If you own a collection and you don't get paid your royalties, I understand that. But then at the same time, I understand also the person on the other end who wants to sell the work and reduce royalties.
I mean, you as an artist, what was your initial reaction when Blur came out and when the royalties were cut to zero?
I found out about it because everyone on Twitter was like talking about Blur. I was like, okay, like what's this? When I saw the user interface, I was like, it's a bit complicated compared, but it got simpler. I mean, it's cool. But I like the idea of like knowing who collects my work. I really like building a connection with the people. And with Blur, there wasn't that kind of element. You know what I mean? I'm like, like an artwork sold. I didn't even know. I wasn't notified. So I like to try to reach out. But at the end of the day, I understand. It's a business. They need to stand out. And they did a great job. They did a great job at standing out.
I think many collectors have a good ethos, and because I've talked with many of them, and that's a good thing, because for artists, to the people that I talk to, they would willing to go out and offer and give to the, without the royalties and stuff, like give it to the artists their cut, of the sale. So if they sell for 5 ETH, they would give 0. If it's 10%, they're going to give 0.5 straight to the other guy, and that's good about them. So I think, but it messes things up with the artists and the
At
projects.
least when I found out about NFTs, when I heard about this thing called royalties, I was like, what? You're telling me I can design something that's literally an asset? So I was like, shit, man. I mean, that's one of the things that got me in, to create something that can be sustainable. Create good work, keep it out there. But then it kind of demotivates some artists. I mean, it's a bit, I'm speaking from the hat of an artist over here, guys. But the hat of a businessman is obviously a bit different.
Wow, Zach, thank you so much for sharing, brother. And let's big round of applause for Zach, guys. Okay, so the next question, I'm interested to get someone in that is currently farming on Blur. So does anyone want to join the conversation that is currently farming on Blur? Anybody? No? What? No one, nobody here, no? Surely there's somebody. I tell you what I'll do. I'll jump into the question and then we can see if anyone is interested. Because this is something that we've been speaking about a lot, guys. Do you really feel that the setup that they're doing currently with farming on Blur, do you think people are doing that solely on Blur, solely to go in there and farm? Because it is a bit of an arbitrage scenario, like you said, it's pocket to pocket, farming the coin and selling. So I want to ask this question. Do you feel that people are using Blur solely for farming?
Yes.
Yes.
I don't think so.
I definitely don't agree on that one bit, because when you have a large amount of things to list, the OpenSea model was terrible. Even with third-party things, the contract model, you had to click sign 100 different times, and that's massive. It didn't cater towards large collector and large traders, because they need to do a lot of manual work. Now, Blur, before their airdrop, they came in as a platform, and all the people that used it, who are staying there even before the airdrop thing, they're staying there because the platform is amazing. The UI, the ability of listing large amounts, sweeping large amounts, the speed. Blur was I don't know right now, but it was the fastest one to see the listings and snipe. So technologically and as app based, there isn't something else that you can use that's as good for volume based plays. So the Blur airdrop can stop at 2-3 years, but the people that came in are likely going to stick around unless there's something that's similar. Like, you might move to Gem and all that stuff, but then it's just a vampire attack. The UI, the way you're doing it, it's all Blur. They designed that, so definitely not just the airdrop on that.
Yeah, I agree. It's a very good product in the first place, and also sometimes the floor price is lower. So I guess also people buying one NFT. Because they want, even to hold the NFT, are going there because, as a buyer, you probably don't care about paying the platform fees or the creator fees until the royalty system is maybe resynced and maybe you have incentive in paying the royalties. But as I said before, the space didn't really think about this system. So. But Blur is a very good product, and even OpenSea Pro is probably not as great. I mean, they're getting there. They know there's demand for people that are serious about just, even if you are just buying a few NFTs from the same collection, like sweeping, Blur is really great for that. So.
$3.4 billion of wash trades in 2023. So if we're wondering whether, if we're wondering whether people are doing it to farm, I mean, that's a statistic. It's a real statistic, but go ahead.
So we say wash trading because wash trading is essentially selling and buying between yourself. But the problem here is that you could probably buy coins. You could be a market maker on a SEX and you're buying and selling the same coins, but you don't know if it's the same coins. The thing with NFT is I could buy the same asset again and it shows I'm buying it, but I'm just providing liquidity as a market maker to the thing. So they aren't technically wash trading in the way that they aren't buying from themselves, but on chain it looks like they're wash trading. So I think that's like a fine. People often tend to say wash trading because in design it is kind of like that, but it is not because they're market makers. And you don't see this on sexes because you don't know which particular coin or which particular stock came to you and whether you bought it. You can see orders. So you can see a buy order, sell order. If it's the same account, that's wash trading. But in this scenario, you're actually buying from someone else, not your own account at that point.
It's kind of like potatoes, potatoes, but I got you. Like I'm with you, but we're splitting hairs. We're like really microscopically splitting hairs. Fair enough. When I just look at that as like, that's a big number, man. Like 3.4 billion in wash trades in
I would look at it like 3.4 billion of liquidity on buy and sell side. That's something you didn't have before. You have it on both sides now.
By the way, this article, I believe, was actually referenced in March, so that might have been 3.4 billion in 3 months. But yeah, I mean, yes, it's liquidity that may not have been there, but I don't want to say it wasn't useful liquidity, because far be it for me to judge. It's just liquid, yeah.
I mean, if we check the Discord, it's quite clear, right? People choose Blur because it's the cheapest option and money rules.
And I see Mr. Mo there during the conversation. Do you want to come up on stage and share your thoughts, Mr. Mo? Oh, perfect, brother. Yeah, please come and join us. Oh, wait. There we go. There we go.
Because I have a beard, right?
No. We got some wizards on there too, you know, we're good. Thank you, brother.
Thank you so much.
Be careful going up there, yeah. Big round of applause for Mr. Mo. Come on, let's go.
I just realized that Henry doesn't even need a mic. Right?
Yeah, he doesn't.
It was better without.
Yeah.
Hi guys, I'm Mr. Mo. I'm a Web3 consultant from a big fashion group, Diesel, Mirza Magella, Jill Sander. But wanted to talk about Blur. Why did I use Blur? I'm not a big trader, but recently I get a airdrop of 15K. Yeah, I didn't sell, of course, because I wasn't aware of it. I have a lot to do. Sorry.
Because we ain't paper hand bitches.
So why I went to buy on Blur, because the asset I wanted to buy was cheaper. So I mean, and it's kind of also healthy for the market. I don't want to say for the market, but it's always nice to have a competitor, because now OpenSea is like opening their eyes. They're like, oh, we have to adapt. We have to come with new features. So basically, like I think Avi said it before, it's always the people. It's not the tool. That if someone gonna give us a tool and we don't need it or we don't use it, you know, no one will have the eyes on it. So a pro and a con. So I just use it really because the FP was cheaper, but it's really the UX is not nice for the normal people looking at the Web3 space. You know, they're gonna see like, okay, it's an exchange, and it's not what NFTs was about. Yeah, so. Yeah. That's my 2 cents on it.
It's fair.
I think if you compare it to real life, right, where would you buy a stock? Where it's a little bit cheaper or where it's a little bit more expensive? The question is easy, the answer is even easier. So Blur will probably be here in the future, and OpenSea will either have to adapt, and the rest of the marketplaces as well, or they will slowly die.
Yeah, I don't think as a marketplace going there for a reduced floor price is like a bad idea. I think that's great. If you can save 4%, 5%, I get that. That's not the part of Blur that I dislike. The part of Blur that I dislike more than anything else, and it speaks to even like a much broader issue of Web3 in general, is just that we're waiting for more people to put eyes on us, and when they put their eyes on us, I would prefer that they look at us and they're like, I want to be a part of that, versus like, ew. And that doesn't just speak to Blur, it speaks to the thought leaders within the space, the influencers that also can be just as gross. It's that whole cycle to me I just kind of wish would go away. But from a floor price perspective, I totally get it. It makes a ton of sense. If you can save some money, yeah, for sure.
I think also, yeah, there are different type of people collecting NFT or trading NFTs, but yeah, also a lot of different type of NFTs. For Blur right now only doesn't support art blocks or super rare. Or I don't think they even support ERC 155, editions. And so yeah, it's mostly for one specific group of people, which if we are realistic, are the majority people there, at least the one with the money, the one doing volumes. And I think, yeah, ones are for now also in a bear market. On Super Rare, for example, there wasn't auctions for like a few days, which didn't happen in the past. And yeah, Blur was not responsible for that. And yeah, so we just have to see the NFT space as different niche and different type of communities and on types of NFTs, yeah, for sure.
And thanks for joining us on stage, Mr. Mo. Everyone, a round of applause there. And I see Avi. Careful, brother. Right? I see Avi on the. You want to come up and join us for this next question? Here we go, brother. Okay, so this is an interesting one for us to think about. So the question is, do you think people will abandon Blur when fees are introduced?
Yes. Yeah, of course. Also, they might abandon Blur when Airdrop 2 doesn't change their life with generational wealth. So that's equally possible, although it's possible Airdrop 2 might change their life. But I think people will, when I say abandon Blur, I think people won't use it to the same degree they do when it's not profitable for them to do so.
Okay, how's it going, guys? I'll just go back a minute to what we spoke about before. Yeah, what's happening now, the discussion with Blur, is the transformation, what's going on in the entire NFT Web3 world. When we all kicked off in 2020, 2021, it was, besides the people that were doing the scams, most of the people were very positive, community-minded. We wanted good for the world. We were very supportive, and that's a lot of the mentality that went behind many projects and communities that were built. Since the last year, the bear market sort of pretty much taken us all to a position where the big people are coming in, the big fish, and all they're thinking about is money. So what you were saying before is like, what's the future of Web3 going to look like? Are we still going to be that supportive, friendly kind of place? The sad reality is I don't think so. I think once the big fish get involved and the sharks, the people that want to make just money, I don't give a darn about your life and if you're making money or not, once they get in, it's going to be very difficult to save, you would say, the space. And therefore, what's happened with Blur is the guys like, a company set up, said, we want to make a lot of money. We don't really give a crap about if someone's going to lose money or make money, and we're just going to go straight for it. And especially with the bear market, more and more companies now are just saying, I don't give a crap about what their community is going to look like. I'm just going to do what I want to make my profits.
I think when the day X comes that Blur actually decides to reinstate royalties or some kind of fees, they will lose a certain amount of market share. That's completely normal. The whole fact that they don't have royalties is a market entry strategy, right? So they want to have a bigger piece of the cake, and it depends how much of the cake they have until the day X and what will happen after that.
I don't know if I agree with that about royalties. I think when they stop the games, that's when they're going to stop having activity. No, it's not about the royalties, because the royalties, you can have them 1%, 2%, 3%, and everyone's going to pick them up, right? OpenSea is going to follow, and everyone's going to be at the same, because it makes sense for them, right? But when they stop the games with the airdrops, all that stuff, that's where they're going to get a big hit, in my opinion, because I don't feel like this can go forever, because it can't.
Cook, yeah, go on.
I got a question. You guys are all kind of saying the same thing, right? So once these guys, hey, I'm Kook, follow me on Twitter, best account. Kook Goat era. No, but for real, like, these guys put out a product that sucked the entire market, like, onto it as users, right? And they got everyone addicted. And so you guys think, if they put in like a 2% marketplace fee, their volume's gonna go down? Where's everyone gonna go? Like, my position is Blur's never going away, and they'll introduce fees, and they'll only get bigger until somebody builds a better product.
When they stop the games, they're going to go down.
What do you mean by games, though? The
airdrops and all these incentives to trade on the platform.
But the airdrops aren't a game, right? You're actually entitled to governance over the protocol. And so that's better than OpenSea, because they're VC-backed, and you'll never have a say. So you think that people that are actual owners of Blur, that love the product, use the tool every day, they introduce a fee because they should get paid, and everybody's going to go to the worst product that's run by VCs. I don't see it.
I think the answer is that I don't think they're going to lose much at all. They'll probably lose about 20%, but they'll stay. I come from Israel, so there's a lot of countries that have the mentality of governance getting involved in, I wouldn't say even as far as communism, but like, governments getting involved in trying to control things. And that's the beauty of competition. Some people might not have the right intention in mind, but competition creates a situation that if people like their product more, that's where they're going to be. There's no way I'd love to have a world where we're all nice and everyone who's got power really wants the good of the other, but the reality is it's not, and that's the reality. I mean, I'll just give a big shout out to this convention. And I think the world can learn from Web3 and NFT in general. The inclusivity and the amount of, I've forgotten the word, but people just being accepting to everyone, no matter where you come from, who you are, is something that the entire world can learn from. And we spoke about it today, that I think once government are not involved and the big people who want to create conflict are not involved, then you create a beautiful place. And this convention and all the NFT world is a home today to accepting for everyone, which is an amazing thing.
Thank you, Ari. Thank you so much for your insights there. Absolute pleasure, brother.
Also, by the way, somebody said it may have been him or somebody over here, but at the end of the day, I don't think Blur represents the majority of the Web3 participants.
Of course.
Though there is obviously quantity on there, right? There's a whole lot of trading that's happening. It's not the majority of the people participating in Web3. It has enough of a narrative to get 5 of us schmucks up on stage to talk about it for an hour and to fill a room to talk about whether it's a good or a bad thing. So I think when I say, I understand people like the liquidity from it, but at the end of the day, I think it's a small group that's extracting a lot using Blur. And again, my point is that I just think it looks weird from the outside. But I totally get as a trader that it's a great tool. No, but you've made good points. You made really good points about it. I mean, I can get on board with the $400,000 monkey picture. I actually like that idea. But no, I think you've made some really valid, good points. And my Blur airdrop was 53, by the way, so.
Like, it's going to happen with ZK Sync. It just happened with Arbitrum. People are making fat fucking bags, getting governance shares over important infrastructure tools. Blur's the same thing. Just because Degen's dumped the airdrop doesn't mean it's not important. They're giving you ownership for using their product for free. OpenSea didn't do shit but take VC funding and fuck you around.
As long as you don't live in the US, can't claim it in the US for some weird ass
Sure,
reason.
yeah, but the US NGMI, bro, that's why I moved to Portugal.
Thank you.
I think at the end of the day, people will just use the better product because Luxware actually did incentive. You had some less royalties and you also had airdrops when you sold or bought there, but they didn't pick as much market share as Blur, so it shows that. So it's a mix of both, yeah, for sure. So better UX, better UI, and incentives, but yeah, people will just use the better product and. Yeah.
And I also see Sadiq on the Discord server. Would Sadiq like to come up and share his opinions? Sadiq, where are you? Oh, come on, brother, come on up. Round of applause for Sadiq, guys. Let you say it.
Good evening, good afternoon. Sorry, guys. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Portugal. I hope you're enjoying this amazing place at this amazing event. Shout out to the NFC for putting it out for all of us. I just wanted to, indeed, I'm not a Blur farmer. I'm a user of the platform because indeed for me, I think it's much cleaner. I think it's much easier to use. It's much faster to check the prices and to see. It's got better prices because of the low royalties, indeed. But my point was 2 points from my perspective. It's like a dog. And I'm not comparing Blur to a dog, nothing like that, please. A dog is not inherently bad as it is if it has a bad owner, right? If it makes it bad. And for me, this is a lot of, like Cook said, it's a product that's there. There was an open space at the market to be filled, and they did it. like a business, and then it's up to the users to understand what they did. I traded a little bit in Blur, not in a farming way, but I traded, and from my perspective, and I can understand that the people who do this, are a small number, but I never took the royalties out because I feel that that's something that the market indeed does need to keep, and that's the beauty of it, right? Like everybody was happy that everybody could keep making money, and like Bart said, we also should separate what is a company getting royalties and what is an artist getting royalties as well. And I think that right now, this motivated Limit Break to develop a sort of, I'm not a tech guy, so please somebody correct me if I'm saying something wrong, but they developed a type of new contract called the ERC721C, the creator token, that enforces royalties on chain, and maybe this is just the evolutionary steps of the space, right? Like first royalties were okay, then royalties were zero. That was also okay for a lot of people. But then now that the dust is settling and we need to understand that we need to find better solutions in terms of royalties, and they're coming. And so was it good for the space? Was it bad for the space? From a bigger perspective, I think that every step of evolution that happens is good to us because it always makes us look at what's the next step to solve the problem that was created by the previous one. And from that perspective, I think that Blur at least opened our eyes to a few problems that are existing in this space. I get your point of view that like normies see us and they're like, what are these guys doing? Well, this is what they're selling the same picture over and over again. It may bring us back a little bit, but at the rate that things happen, I'm pretty sure that there's the good people that were here in 2020 and 2021. They're still here. Of course, there's a lot more, maybe not so community-focused or technology-focused people anymore, but luckily the OGs, they're still here, like you guys, right? Like, and eventually, I think that every step that happens from the point that makes us improve whatever came before, it's always good for the space.
Wow, Sadiq, incredible insights, and thanks for sharing there. I really appreciate
Thank you very much.
So the last question for you guys, and I really want to open this up to quite a heated debate at the end here, but do you really feel that, for example, in this space, you know, I suppose what we come to is we really welcome Blur into the space, but do you think they're a viable competitor and a potential competitor that could overtake OpenSea? And do you also feel that there's a need for a little bit more in this space, all things considered?
The question is there a viable competitor?
Yeah, what I mean is, do you think that it's also positioning to take over in terms of GMV, gross market value, in the future? Do you think it's got a possible chance to take over the likes of OpenSea?
Yeah, the question is what happens when they actually do the airdrop and when people know exactly what they are earning by farming on Blur. Because, yeah, right now, as I said before, it's like gambling. You are guessing, you are hoping that you are going to earn some money, but right now the token is not doing anything, and they haven't been very clear on what will be the token for. And so one descends, I think we will have a clearer vision if Blur is actually a valid competitor in the space. But what's for sure is that it's always good to have competition, and I believe there's room for more competitors, maybe to address some other niche. For example, on the generative art markets, there's a platform that's called Sensa that enforces royalties and is working quite well, I believe. And yeah, and people are using it because it's a population of collectors that cares about royalties, and the experience is designed around generative art. So yeah, I think there's a lot of more room for competitors.
I agree on that. So I think competition is good for the game. Blur, as I mentioned before, caused like a wake-up call for OpenSea to actually act and react to what they were facing. And yeah, I think it's good for the space to have people like Blur. It's a tool, in my opinion, for professional traders. that actually served a need that wasn't there before. And I'm pretty sure there will be more competitors coming up, offering new solutions and new tools that many of us may use and may actually benefit from and get some farming and some airdrops maybe as well.
And I noticed Thalka's typing up there. Would Thalka like to come join the conversation? Oh, thank you. Round of applause for Thalka, guys. Yeah, I'll get you after. So what are your thoughts on everything that's going on in the debate today regarding Blur? I'm putting you on the spot here, obviously, but...
Cool. Well, I posted it on Discord. Genuinely, I feel like I agree mostly with Henry the Grape. For me, it's like exposing flipping that became the biggest kind of chunk of the market. When I first heard about NFTs, it was from my friend who's an NFT artist, sold on Super Rare, Foundation, you know, like really big things. And that was about art, you know, and she talked about collectors, and she really cares about what kind of collector buys her art. Which now, like, okay, who knows where my, you know, collection is? Like, it's like blue farmers. Like, how do you deal with them? It's not part of community even. Like, so it's less about community, less about art, more about flipping. And that's why I agree, like, from outside, it looks like, okay, well, now it's all about money. Like, it's like what you said. Like, it's, you don't care, like, are you trading meme coins, like shit coins, you know, like, are you trading NFTs? Doesn't matter anymore. That's why it's a bit sad. But at the same time, I see it as a positive as well, because people who care about art will come in and try to do something better. So that was, like, I think, final thoughts here, and yeah, hopefully it is. Sorry? No, I'm a product person. Yeah, there was.
If we're all in agreement that Blur isn't the best platform to promote good and art, and like you just said, the artists want to have a connection with their buyers. If an artist, that's really what he wants, why would he put it on Blur? Just don't put it on Blur. So if the answer is going to be because no one's buying it, then you can't just tell me that the only thing you want is community.
Later they're coming and they're buying one-of-ones, or they're investing in new projects. So there's always the cycle. It's not always that it takes the whole reality from you. It's somehow that people that purchased once or traded, they're coming back again and minting again from you, or they're buying a one-of-ones.
That I understand. But if we're all in agreement that Blur is not the best platform to promote us, and yeah, I'm wrapping it up as quick as I can, then don't put it on Blur. Then don't help this company out. Don't put it there. Put it onto platforms like Foundation, like on platforms that will, or if you like OpenSea, that will help you promote goodness in the community and the connection that you want with the artists. What bothers me is that there's artists that will go and then put their stuff on Blur and then say, we don't care about the money, we only want community. It's obviously a combination of the two, and Blur have filled that void.
Thank you there, Avi, for sharing. And sorry, guys, we're out of time here, but I want to say a big thank you to all the speakers, a big thank you to you in the crowd, everyone getting involved. That was a very interactive session. I love you all, so let's take this debate into the next room so the other team can come in here. Thank you, guys. Just leave.